All right, thank you. We've had all these impactful presentations about, water pollution and mental health and equality, and I'm going to be talking about bowling, like bowling. So I'll tell you why. And I'm not going to get too deep into the chart decisions or how I made it. We're really just going to use this as a story. It's the last presentation of the day, so we'll just kind of keep it light. Even though Amanda just introduced us, my name is Kevin Flerlage. I have an identical twin brother, Ken Flerlage. He's right there, the old bald guy that looks pretty much just like me, so say hi, Ken. All right. We run the website flerlagetwins.com. We have almost 400 blog posts, all related to data visualization. Probably 98% of them focused on the tool Tableau. We both work for Moxie Analytics. It's a team of 6, small but mighty, and we do lots of stuff, data project work, training, etc. In our company, the larger part of the company, we always say we do stuff for money. We do data stuff for money, so data governance, strategy, those kinds of things. We are both Tableau visionaries. I'm a 4-time Tableau visionary. This is something that Tableau gives out to about 50 people a year. 36 people in the world have made it to 4-time Tableau visionaries. We have a Hall of Famer right here, Steve Wexler, and guess who else? My identical twin brother is a Hall of Fame Tableau visionary. There's only 16 of those in the world, but Ken's never been shortlisted in Information is Beautiful Awards, so great honor. I've been submitting my work to the Information is Beautiful Awards for 6 years, never got a sniff. This year we did, so very, very excited. My work is shortlisted in the business analytics category, which I believe is only the 2nd year of this. So what this is really looks like a business dashboard, something that you would use at work. It's not intended to be art. It is intended to be a tool to make decisions upon. So, and as we mentioned, it's about bowling. So the question is, why bowling? Well, I think that's pretty obvious. It is, really popular. It's there we are. It's the 82nd most popular sport in the world. It's actually not true. It's actually number 15, but I was surprised it was number 15. I was thinking it was more like 82nd. The real reason is this guy. This is my son, Riley. That's me with the hat. I look so different when I don't have a hat, when I have a hat on. But that's me and my son. He's a senior at Connor High School in Burlington, Kentucky. And for whatever reason, he loves bowling. Absolutely loves it, and he's pretty darn good at it. I'll show you. We started bowling together. The slides are a little offset, but we started bowling together about 5 years ago. And at first, I was kicking the snot out of him. And if you can track that chart, he's kicking the snot out of me now. So he averages about 20 pins more than me. So he's quite good. And then if there's no bowling fans out here, the new thing in bowling is to throw the ball two-handed. So these guys throw this ball two-handed. You'll see this here momentarily. So this is Riley just last year. I'm going to play this. And, I got to actually do something real quick. I don't know if it's going to play, but if we can, it's very hard to see this, but this is up in the top left corner. If you see that, it's 11 strikes in a row. And he's about ready to throw his last ball. So let's see if this thing will play. And we should have tested this. Not playing. Essentially what it is him hitting a 300 game. So very, very cool. Him and his buddies all get super, super excited, right? So anyways, so the reason I created this dashboard is he's part of the high school bowling team, and they were tracking stats, but those stats look like this. And that gave a data analyst an absolute heart attack. So I was looking at that, and this is actually for one of the girls' teams, if you're seeing the names. But this is how they were tracking stats, and it was just driving me crazy. So I started to ask, how are they aggregating this data? How do they know that they're starting the right players? How are they making any sense of a printout of this data? And this printout was for every single match they had. They have 20 a year, so I can imagine these coaches like rifling through 20 sheets of paper to try and make sure they're making the right decisions. Or are they just using their gut sense to make those decisions? So yeah, I thought that was very deeply concerning. So I asked them, hey, send me the data. I threw it up in a Google Sheet just to keep it easy, and I connected it to Tableau, and I just started sort of exploring that data. So a few little rules, and we'll do a little quick demo, a few little rules about bowling, high school bowling, is but the kids bowl one individual game each. There's 8 guys on each team that bowl two individual games each. And then they play something called Bakers, which is a team game where they get 5 bowlers and they each bowl 2 frames. So one bowler would bowl frame 1 and 6, and another bowler would bowl frames 2 and 7. So we've got sort of these 2 segments of individual bowling and team bowling, right? So I say I'm going to demo this, but we had some display problems, so I'm just going to show slides of the dashboard. So what we have kind of on the left-hand side is just kind of a breakdown. There's an overlay where it kind of talks about some of the rules. On the left, you can actually pick 2 bowlers to compare, right? So all the bowlers are in gray. You can pick 2 that are in red and blue to compare. Now, normally I use red and blue for this sort of good, bad. In this case, I'm just using the school logo colors to allow me to highlight 2 different individuals. And in this case, I think I have Riley my son, highlighted in blue, and another gentleman highlighted in red. Normally, when we build a dashboard, we focus the most important piece of the top left. That's the most viewed spot on the dashboard. I did not do that on this because I intentionally wanted to just sort of lead to a story. So as I go along, the very last chart is the most important one. So at the top, just a simple table of showing each match and each score for each player. This is individual. If you see on the left, this is for the individual performance. At the top right, I just got a visual, just a line chart over time showing that information. The top left, just a bar chart. Again, simple charts, business type dashboard, simple charts. Bottom left is just the top 10 scores throughout the year. Proud to say that my son has the top 2 and 5 out of the top 10. And then the most important piece on this page is in the lower right corner. Yeah, okay, that's really kind of not what we normally do. But again, I wanted to kind of tell this story. So at the bottom right, we just have their overall average for the year individually, and then range of scores. And if you hover over that barbell chart, you get just a little plot showing that distribution, right? My son was the second highest average on the team. He was beat out by and this was last year, he was beat out by a gentleman by Lane. And you can kind of see the difference in the range of scores, which I think is so interesting, where Riley had a 119 last year, but he also had a 268. And then the guy above him, his scores were really tight. He had a lot less variance in his scores. The second page focuses on what we call Bakers, the team event, right? So we've got kind of the scores over time. We can look at every single game that they bowl together. That expands, so you don't have to use a scroll bar. We can look at the top games. And at the bottom, we look at 2 different things. We look at strike percentage and mark percentage. If you don't know what a mark is, that means you either struck or you spared. So what this is looking at in the team effort, how many times did they strike when they threw? Remember, they're only throwing 2 balls a game. And how many times did they mark? And for Riley, you can see he led the way with mark percentage, which I think is the most important, at 80%. He was actually tied with somebody else. And he was pretty close to the lead in strike percentage. One thing I'll note is I tend to like to use these background lines as a 100% marker. So this helps provide the additional context of what things could have been, right? We can tell how well we compare against each other individuals, but we can also compare to what's possible, right? In this case, 100%. And then the last page of the dashboard is really just an overall look at bowler performance in both the individual game and in the team game, because the team game is very different, and I think sometimes some bowlers get a little nervous because they're actually bowling on a team. Their performance really impacts another person. So this is just a simple scatter plot looking at mark percentage of the team game versus overall average in the individual game. And we can see those two, Riley in blue and Lane in red up at the top. So really, the furthest to the top right is what you want to see from your top bowlers. So what was interesting in this is it was about 6 weeks in when I actually started displaying this data. I didn't really ask for the coach for this until about 6 weeks in. And one of the reasons I asked for it is because I was kind of concerned that he wasn't starting the right guys. So you can start up to 8 guys in the individual game, but in the team game, you only get to play 5 of these guys. The top 4 were really obvious, and so he was starting those 4. But what you found is he was actually starting as the 5th guy, Brody. Brody's number 6 on this list, just by a smidge. But he wasn't starting Will. So that kind of bothered me, and I was like, I really want to prove to him that he's starting the wrong guy. So he started, we built this dashboard, and after about 10 weeks, some other guy out of random came out of nowhere. And what I saw was, and I'm watching this data, what I saw is this coach, who, as Steve Wexler puts it, is not a professional data looker-atter. He's just a coach, right? I find him putting Aiden into the lineup. So I think, score, he's actually using the dashboard I created for him to make coaching decisions. What happened to Aiden was he started to suck, and he got down to number 8. And so what happened is when we were heading into the regional tournament, Will was beating everybody else significantly for that 5th spot, and the coach actually played Will throughout the tournament. So I thought it was really important for this guy that was, he's a teacher. I'm sure he uses data in his day-to-day, but he was actually using this dashboard to make decisions. So ultimately, he utilized the dashboard. He went into the tournament with the best team, and he actually changed the lineup as certain players were performing better than others. What happened? As a team, Connor made it to the semifinals of the tournament as a team, but they narrowly lost and got 3rd place. Just the top 2 teams went to state tournament, so it was kind of sad. But they also have an individual tournament, and my dashboard didn't impact this whatsoever, just to kind of say that, and I'm not trying to claim that, but Riley absolutely crushed it in the qualifying tournament, and he made it to the final 4 of the regionals tournament. He went in as the 1 seed, ended up getting 3rd, but all 4 of those bowlers went to state, so there's a picture of him at state in Louisville, Kentucky. It was actually pretty cool, even though it's just bowling, right? So it's just a hobby for most people, but very cool to see him at state. In the first game, he bowled a 266. If you don't know bowling, 300 is the most you can bowl. And after the first game, my kid, who's only been bowling a couple years, was in 1st place. And you hear people in the parents and things going, who's Riley Flerlage? Because these kids have been bowling together for 10 years. And who's this Riley Flerlage kid? So he's leading the way after the very first game. So there's him on the leaderboard, 1st place. Unfortunately, he kind of struggled the next couple of games, coming in 11th overall in state, but still a great accomplishment. 2024 season is coming. So we've got another dashboard coming soon. Actually had their first match yesterday. And so thank you for letting me just tell that story using data visualization, and appreciate it.